Hello YouTubers, how are you doing today? Well, I hope you're doing real well, getting closer to God, praying the rosary, and following His ways. Because like I say, His ways are the best ways. Today I'm going to address greed and how greed really destroys people's lives. And of course, greed is not one of God's ways. And if you want to get in the stream of life and get into God's ways, stay away from that mortal sin called greed. So I'm going to talk about a man called Dan Bilzerian. And it's just an example of one person that you may know and how he conducts his life and how his life does not equate to God's ways and the consequences of that. So here we go.
All right, you have to learn to pray. You learn to pray in the same way. Lord, teach us to pray. You should have a definite time and place every day to pray. You have an appointment, you have an interview with Almighty God.
The trust funds, I guess you were entitled to one when you turned 30, one when you turned 35, more or less than you had already made on your own?
I gave it all back, so.
Really?
Yeah. I gave it to my brother.
Why?
I don't know, I didn't need it, didn't want it, didn't care.
How satisfying was it to you to know you had the ability to do that?
It was. I didn't really think about it, to be honest. It was not a big deal. I don't know, I was like a weird person. I never wanted something from somebody without being able to kind of reciprocate, I guess. So my dad had lost me some money on some deals, so I just, I took a little bit from that and gave the rest away.
You read the detractors or comments they've made that, oh, nobody can make $100 million or whatever it is playing poker. He's just, poker's kind of
he sucks,
the way he says he makes his money, but he's really gotten it from the, trust funds, and you didn't take it.
No, that's the thing. You have to remove your ego from these situations, So for me, I just let people talk about my poker and that I was bad and that I, had a trust fund, because that was all very helpful for me to get into these games. There's some things in life that are out of your control, but for the most part, everything that I've put my mind to, I've accomplished. And so I'm just relentless, man. I just if I have an objective and something that I want to accomplish, I just go until it's done. And that's what I'm going to do with this company, just because it's my sole focus right now, really. I've got a few other things that I'm working on, but this is kind of my baby, This is what I believe is going to be the first real cannabis brand. And I don't think there's any other brand that's kind of nipping on our heels or that has the global presence or recognition that we do. So we've been a little bit slow on our operations just because I don't want to put out, the only way I see this failing is by putting out products that are subpar. And so I just won't do it. It's just more important for me to just wait and do it right than to just kind of rush to market with something that's half-assed. So we've been a little bit slower than anticipated, but we haven't put out anything that's not, super high-end. We won our first vape pen, won the Cannabis Cup. We just won Cannabis Cup for the best flower for a new gelato strain. So, we're doing it right. I mean, we really are.
A report from Bloomberg by Christopher Palmieri on July 7th, 2020 reads, Curtis Heffernan, a former president of Dan Bilzerians Ignite International Brands Ltd, sued the company, claiming he was fired in June after refusing to approve his boss's expenses. A June report by the company's auditors flagged expenses that were unusually large or appeared to be personal in nature, including an Ignite payment of half of $793,000 for a yacht rental and $128,000 for a two-night stay in London. Heffernan also claims in the lawsuit that Ignite asked him to mischaracterize a loan from the government's PPP loan aid program as income. The company lost $69 million on sales of $9.7 million last year, according to its annual report. So these reports coming out of Bloomberg are contrary to what Dan Bilzerian was saying to these two interviewees. And so what is it? What's the story, right? Now, this is just Heffernan is claiming in a lawsuit. But however, Heffernan's claims are being backed up by the company's auditors. Now, because this Ignite company, this company called Ignite, is traded publicly by a law that has to have auditors, accounting auditors, to review or audit their particular financial statements, like the balance sheet and the income statement. And when they were auditing the income statement, they saw some of these questionable expenses. And it just backs up what Heffernan was saying, you know, because the Heffernan got fired in June and the auditors made this particular findings in the same month of June. So, you know, like they say, talk is cheap. And this brings into question, did Mr. Dan Bilzerian, did he make his money like he said he did through gambling? Now, if he's such a great gambler, why doesn't he go to the poker tables and play poker and win back some money? You know, it's just very questionable, and a lot of it comes down to just greed. You know, greed of money. You know, just taking monies from a company where, you know, you are the chairman of the board, but I'm sure there must have been some other investors in this particular company, and this person is basically just spending it on, you know, trips and yacht rentals and many other things that they've questioned. And it's just greed, you know. If this business was such an important thing to Bilzerian, he would handle it with much more care and spend the monies that are available wisely, so that the company can be prosperous. Because you know, since I'm an accountant, I tell people expenses are like mini assets. And expenses have value. You know, a lot of people don't want to spend money, but, you know, you need to have employees, right? And you have to spend money on the cannabis, and they're spending money on research and development, and that's all well and good. But, you know, you know, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a 2-night stay in London is probably not a way to go. And yacht rentals, and they spent $15,000 on a ping pong table and $50,000 on a bed frame. I mean, that's just, you know, just greed. And it's getting him, this person, Dan Bilzerian, into trouble, because now the whole premise of this company is falling into question, because investors and other people are thinking, well, this guy's just using this company as a front for his personal expenditures. Just like the auditors said. The auditors were saying that they flagged expenses that were unusually large or appeared to be personal in nature. And these things get you into trouble, because basically that's stealing or embezzling. And that can get you in jail. So Mr. Dan is in big trouble. Not because of this particular former president that's suing him, but now he can go to he can get a lot more lawsuits, because they could say that he's embezzling money and tax cheat and everything else. And it all stems from greed. So I'm just basically pointing this out. I'm not trying to bury Dan Bilzerian. I don't know him. I don't have any axe to grind with him. I'm just using him because a lot of people do know of him, and they think he's a quote unquote a playboy, and they look up to him. But these are the things that you have to really understand about this particular person that he's probably doing. And of course, he's going to have his date in court, or days in court, because he might have multiple lawsuits to prove his innocence. However, when you have auditors, professional auditors, flagging expenses, and they don't want to do that. They want to give him because the Ignite pays the auditors their expenses, their fees, their fees. So the auditors would rather have them give the company a favorable audit report, but then they have to do their professional type of work, and they're legally obligated too. So, but they would much rather have a squeaky clean business to audit, so they can keep on getting those audit engagements. Because if you get a company, you don't want to give them a bad audit, and then you lose them as a client because you gave them a bad audit. So, I mean, these company auditors have interest in giving, in this case, Ignite, a good audit report, but it was such a terrible situation with these financial statements that they had to flag it. So, these are the things you have to understand as a layman, that these auditors want to give them a good audit report, but they couldn't. So just wanted to, like I said, show what greed does. Now, Dad probably does want to get this business going and have it flourish. But the way he's getting it done is questionable at best, and like I said, it stems from greed. So, and it's a moral sin, and and if he's guilty, he's gonna have a lot to pay for it. So, anyway, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And as always, God bless.